Hi, let's find out everything there is to know about Havoc MC, their best builds, weapons, echoes, abilities, teams, and more. Before we jump to any conclusions, as always, let's begin with an understanding of how the character works. Havoc MC is able to access an empowered state, but unlike these guys, this state is not tied to an ultimate, but the Forte circuit instead. To enter the Dark Surge state, simply perform a heavy attack once the bar is full. In this state, the MC's basic attacks and skill take on a new form, and Havoc damage is increased significantly, making it the preferred state to be in if possible. Almost anything you do will generate some of the gauge, but your best generators are your skill and your intro. The ultimate is an uncomplicated but powerful nuke. It's even stronger in combination with the Dreamless Echo, Havoc MC's best in slot echo that you can reliably farm, even on the easiest difficulty. This echo active deals massive damage, that is further increased when used within 5 seconds after casting Havoc MC's ultimate. It has a long animation that can be skipped entirely by swapping to another character. Measured by DPS, this is the best way to use this echo. What this means for us gameplay-wise is that we want to use our ultimate ideally towards the end of our rotation, just when we're about to swap to another character to squeeze in a Dreamless animation cancel, but still within the Dark Surge state to benefit from the Havoc buff. A good main DPS rotation to go by would then look something like this. Heavy attack to enter Dark Surge, a full basic attack string, skill to regain some gauge and effectively extend the duration of your Dark Surge, another 2 full basic attack strings, then ultimate, and echo swap cancel into outro. In the Tower of Adversity, or whenever else your ultimate is up and available right from the start though, it feels bad to just sit on it and wait until the end of your main rotation. This is where the warm-up rotation comes in. Totally optional of course, but effective. Since the ultimate and echo are simple one-time casts with no further strings attached, you can use them right at the beginning of your run for some upfront burst damage, because you won't be needing them for a while anyway. At the same time, we can start working on our Dark Surge gauge by using our skill once, so that it's easily filled by the next time we swap in. The full warm-up combo then looks like this: ultimate, skill, echo, and swap out. This will put our stuff on cooldown and get us 40% of the Dark Surge gauge. Another important tip: if you're short on energy regeneration, make sure that both instances of your skill connect with an enemy, because each gives a considerable amount of energy. If you have enough ER as is, you can even cancel this skill animation to just get the Dark Surge gauge and swap out even sooner. Here's an example. Personally, my energy regen isn't quite where it needed to be at, so I'm making sure to get both hits in. Now we can go about our business as usual and build up Concerto on our hybrid DPS/buffer. In this case I'm using Danjin, the Havoc Deepen buff. More options will be covered in the team building section. Once we swap back into MC, the intro gives us another 30% gauge, and our skill will be off cooldown shortly as well, giving us more than we need to enter Dark Surge. From there we can pick up with the main rotation covered earlier that concludes with the ultimate into echo cancel. For any following rotations, or if you didn't generate any gauge up front, you'll only have 70% gauge from intro and skill, so you need to do some basic attacks to get to 100. Note that everything we've covered so far only applies when treating Havoc MC as the main DPS of your team. If you're not a fan of that idea, there's also a more quick swap oriented burst rotation that only uses the high multiplier abilities and then swaps out. In this case you need another character to take up the majority of the field time. Now that we've established a rotation, let's look at weapons. The standard 5-star weapon is the best weapon currently available, and it's a perfect fit because it gives you some much needed energy regen, and because you can get both passive stacks very easily since you're able to cast your skill 2 times in a row. Among the 4 stars, Command of Conviction is the best, followed by the Battle Pass weapon and Lunar Cutter. Sword 18 is your completely free-to-play option. As for the Echo set, the 5-piece Sun Sinking Eclipse is the undisputed best in slot, with the Dreamless Echo as the active skill. Main stats are crit rate or damage on 4 cost, Havoc damage on 3 cost, and attack percent on 1 cost echoes. For substats, before anything else, make sure you have at the very least 120% energy regen in total. Havoc MC needs some ER to be able to ult consistently at the end of every rotation. As always, it depends on the team you're playing. Personally, I'm having trouble maintaining ult uptime with 124% ER. Well, that's in part because we haven't unlocked Havoc Rover's second inherent passive yet, which will generate another 5 to 10 energy per rotation. For consistency, it's always better to aim a bit higher though, so I'd suggest somewhere between 120 and 140 ER for the best results. After that, go for crit rate and damage for the highest DPS increase, then attack percent, then flat attack, and lastly basic damage or liberation damage, in this order of importance. When raising Rover's abilities, prioritize the Forte circuit over everything else, then the ultimate, and if you really want to invest more into the character, you can consider putting a few points into the resonance skill and intro. You can leave the basic attack ability unleveled, as it contributes little to nothing to your damage. Havoc Rover's Resonance Chain 1 provides some skill damage bonus for a tiny DPS boost. C2 is really the starting point for Havoc Rover because it lets you reset your skill cooldown after entering Dark Surge. You can get C2 right now by collecting a bunch of caskets on the map and turning them in at this NPC. Without C2, this character is not the same. C3 just provides some healing. C4 applies Havoc Resistance Shred to enemies. So far, only Rover has access to Resistance Shred, and it's a big DPS boost as it affects an entirely separate multiplier in the damage formula. C5 enhances the final tech of your basic attack string, and C6 grants a whopping 25% crit rate during Dark Surge. A C6 Havoc Rover does about 60% more damage than at C0. When building Havoc Rover as a main DPS, you have many options to support them. You can use your healer of choice to carry the Rejuvenating Glow set, and for the hybrid DPS/buffer slot, you can use Sanhua to boost Rover's basic attack damage, Jianxin to boost their ultimate damage, or Danzin to boost Havoc damage across the board. You can also use Yang Yang to make up for a lack of energy regen. If you prefer a bursty quick swap playstyle, you can pair Rover with other on-field carries to make up for her reduced field time. Havoc Rover in their current state already competes with other 5-star characters in terms of damage, and they're only going to grow stronger with further resonance chains. Definitely a worthwhile investment and tons of fun to play as well. For the rest of the video, I'll leave you with a brief showcase. If any of this has been helpful, please subscribe to the channel for more guides like this. If you have any questions, comments or feedback, do let me know and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks!
これも音の力ね。この手に集え。許さない。これでどう？これも音の力ね。